Welcome to another Straight Up Tuesday Tip. I'm 𝗤𝘃𝗀𝘀𝗀. With me as always is Mark Ainley. And with us again is Jared Kott, owner of 𝗲𝘂𝗶𝗵𝗵 Property Group. Jared, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, guys. Great to be on again.
We've had Jared on episode 11, the boss of the Southeast, the 𝗤𝘵𝗂 Roundtable, and recently gave us a Straight Up Tuesday tip on how to best optimize properties when you're working in the C-class areas. And today we're having him on with 3 tips on how to protect yourself during the screening process. So Jared, we're going to turn it over to you. Let's start off with number 1 here. What's your first tip for how to best protect yourself during the screening process when you're working in C-class areas?
Cool. So the first thing we want to look into, guys, is obviously when you're screening, you want to look at rental history, go deep on that. But here's what we found. The first year, right? The last place that they stayed, if that landlord, if that management company wants them out, they're going to say, for example, Mark was a fabulous tenant. No issues, paid on time, got along with all the neighbors. Because he wants them out, then guess what? We're stuck with them. Always go back at least 2 years. Always. You're going to get the real story. That's number 1. Number 2, credit score. Okay, a lot of people who are residing in some more challenging areas just don't have a very high credit score. But that doesn't mean that they don't pay their bills, and it certainly doesn't mean that they're bad people. So what we look for is not a number, but more of a track record on important bill payments. Okay, not that medical bills aren't important, but if you have a car and you need to get to work, that car payment should be paid, right? We look for payment history on key items, not just a number. And number 3, in the screening process, you always want to meet these people at the property and make sure, look, the screening process starts by the time they get to the property, meaning, did they show up on time? Were they respectful? Were they complaining about their landlord? That's a good one, guys. If they show up and they're like, Mark's my landlord, he was horrible, he never fixed anything, guess what? That same thing is probably going to happen to you. So that's what I got for you guys today.
Yeah. So in the world you manage in, and we have a large portfolio too, it's a different ballgame. It's not as cut and dry as it might be in Naperville. You have to read between the lines. And a lot of what you talked about is reading between the lines and understanding the person. Because, it's just like a job interview. I mean, anyone could put up a good show for that first interview, that phone interview, that first interview, the second interview. They could do it good. And then that first, they could turn fast. The second you hand them keys or you're late for handing, whatever it might be, they could turn fast. So everything you're saying is so important and so crucial for making sure that you're putting the right people in your property and you're not just creating larger problems for yourself.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And also look for, it's one of our core values within 𝗲𝘂𝗶𝗵𝗵 is gratitude. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to accept a tenant that doesn't have gratitude, but look for gratitude when you're placing a tenant, right? And in the screening process, like, I could see, I really would love this place. This house would be perfect for me and my kids. I could see my, I could put my TV here, my couch there, and I have an aunt over on this next block. Like, as you listen to those communications, you want to hear them talk about gratitude and kind of longevity rather than just, I've got to move quick, so keep your eye out for those red flags.
Yeah. One more comment on that. You got to move quick is a red flag. Or, hey, I'll fill out an application even though I didn't see the place yet. Or they walk in and walk out and say, I'll take it. Like, there is a lot of story behind that. And you're going to probably end up paying for that one way or another.
Yeah.
Jared, going back to the face-to-face, obviously anyone can put on a good front, but what are some other like between the line things that you are looking to get in that 20-minute interaction?
Sure, that's a great question, Tom. My big thing is this: if we say we have a meeting set up, say at noon, that's where the screening starts for us. Be there at noon. Do what you say you're going to do, because that's going to represent typically how they pay. Oh, I'm going to pay on the 1st. Well, if you can't even show up to your appointment on the time, that's going to be a red flag. Number 2, not always, but this is something that I used to do when I was doing the lease ups myself. I take a little peek in the car. I just glance over. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to rent to somebody with a dirty car. But a dirty car is probably going to mean, most likely, a dirty apartment down the road. We don't want dirty apartments. So be on time. What's the cleanliness like? And just common courtesy. How do they interact with the leasing agents, right? That's a big deal. What are their demands or are they questions? Look for things like that.
That's awesome. Good stuff. I guess before we wrap here, is there any horror story where you feel like, all right, I got burned and never again? Anything you want to share there? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. No, that's fine. And I think that these things are actually really important to know and hear. And I can tell you 2-3 years ago, I had a few vacancies in my own portfolio, and our office got a call from a person that claimed to represent Catholic Charities. And that's an agency that we deal with on the south side of Chicago. And they said, we just got new funding, and we have about 50 tenants. Do you have any vacancies? We need to get these units filled within 72 hours. And I jumped at that opportunity. And we went through the process. We filled out leases. They said, due to government funding, it's going to take 45 to 60 days to get the check, which is not totally uncommon. So it wasn't a huge red flag. And I placed about a half dozen tenants that were legitimately taken from a shelter by a scammer, a woman that said, you pay me, right? So if you're in the shelter, you pay me $500, $600, $700, and I'll find you a place within 48 hours. And they did that. And that was a major mess to unravel. And it was painful. It was painful on a financial front. It was painful on an emotional front, having to have discussions with people that thought that they kind of won the lottery and was like, I'm out of this shelter. I'm in, and wait a minute, you got scammed and I got scammed. We're both in this spot together. And a couple of people, we actually, helped them find employment in there. One of them's with us still, but the other 5 didn't work out very well. So just be careful. There's a lot of people out there that are really just kind of more on the evil side, looking for a quick buck and self-seeking. And I fell into that trap. And what we do now to mitigate that is, no, there's no rush movements. We'd love to help you, but here's the process. You need to follow the process. So be careful.
Make you feel any better. I fell for the same trap in 2016. So they got me too. And so it goes back to one of those too good to be true type red flags that you have to, that should have been the flag that went up in my head. But like you said, all the things made sense, like delay on payment. The email actually lined up to have Catholic Charities into it. You're looking a little further and it had a different ending and so forth. But yeah, no, I'm especially on the south side of Chicago, I've been, I see a lot, and I've been pervy to, not always falling for it, but a lot of people are looking for that quick hit. So you got to be careful.
Yep.
Good stuff there. Good nuggets. All right. So Jared, you're an East Side guy. So we have an East Side Chicago fact here. I think you'll get this. Market's first crack at it though. All right. So most of the streets go north and south. They're named after the alphabet, starting with, B being closest to the Indiana side. I think it goes all the way to O at the Calumet River, if I'm right. This road should have been called Avenue A. It is actually called.
Is it my turn?
Oakley. No, not Oakley. Hold on. It's the main thoroughfare that runs right through down there. Going for it, JR. Go.
I think it's called State Line Road.
It is State Line Road.
That's not what I was thinking. So.
Woo!
Nice.
All right.
You have a homer question there.
Thanks for the layup, guys.
Yeah. Right. All right. Awesome show, guys. Thanks, Jared, for coming back on. Tom, as always, thank you. Everyone, please. We're growing our show, or we want to be growing our show. So please refer us to a friend, if you're a real estate agent, refer it to some investors you're working with. If you're an investor, refer us to your investor buddies. Help us keep the show growing so we can keep having motivation to come back and provide the ongoing content that we're trying to provide value to all of you. So thank you guys, and we will see you Thursday.
Thanks all.